There is an infamous route in Vermont that is 140 miles long, 14,000 feet of elevation gain, where you tackle 6 mighty mountain passes all in one day. And this is the Vermont Six Gaps Ride. The longest day has always been circled in red on the calendar. It's the longest day of the year, of course. You have the most daylight, and again, another excuse to do some crazy, mind-boggling, and purely insane cycling challenge. Last year, the Catskills, super tough ride, very difficult conditions, and for some crazy reason we decided that we had to top that. So naturally, the only choice that came to mind was Vermont's Green Mountains.
When were you last in Vermont before this trip?
Was last in Vermont in August of 2020. We decided to go to Vermont because we wanted to get out of the city and we were seeking a really special place to launch the Rubber and Road brand. There is an infamous route in Vermont that is 140 miles long, 14,000 feet of elevation gain, where within this route you tackle 6 mighty mountain passes all in one day. For many, many years I've always wanted to do it, and this is the Vermont Six Gaps Ride. Definitely a few weeks of preparation went into this, getting the route finalized, getting our Airbnb, getting all of our food and supplies that we need for a ride that is this challenging. So we headed out from the city around noon on Friday, a beautiful day in New York City, and we arrived at our lovely Airbnb nestled into the mountainside of Killington. Neil was there, our race team captain, cooking up some pasta, getting the gang ready. Had a nice team pasta dinner and went to bed pretty early because of the long day ahead. So on Vermont Six Gaps, you have 140 miles, you have 14,000 feet of elevation gain, and on the morning of, Gil decided to add 30 miles to that route because it wasn't long enough already. And when we woke up, it was 40 degrees out, it was raining, and it was super windy. So that's what we had to look forward to for the next 11 hours of riding. That's right, I said 11 hours of riding. We wake up around 4:15 in the morning, half asleep, putting the kit on. I will also mention that as we're packing up the Volvo team car, put some stuff in the trunk, left the trunk open, came back out. There was a bear in the driveway. There was a bear print in the trunk of the Volvo. And that, I think, pretty much set the tone for the rest of the day. It wasn't going to be easy. Got on our bikes around 5:15 a.m. Started basically a 10-mile descent off of Killington towards the first gap of the day, which was Brandon Gap. Ironically, was by far the easiest climb of the day. It's about 4 miles at 5%. It's a very pleasant and steady climb. And we were making really good pace at that time. I think for the first 30 miles, we're averaging 19 miles per hour because the group was energized, excited, and really was keeping things moving. And after Brandon Gap, that's when things kind of took a turn and got a lot more challenging very quickly. Started raining, and we hit our second gap of the day, which was pretty sure Middlebury Gap was our second one of the day. It's tough, there's so many of them, it's tough to keep track of. But Middlebury Gap, definitely a little tougher, a little steeper. Rain started. Now we're about 50 miles in and we are heading off of Middlebury Gap towards the stuff that nightmares are made of, Lincoln Gap, in the rain. So at this point, it's cold, we're all wet. Stop quickly before turning a left onto Lincoln Gap Road. Then you have one of the hardest climbs in the country coming up at 85 miles into this route. So I was already really feeling it at that point because we had about 5,000 feet of climbing under our belts with 80 miles, 85 miles in, and then you gotta tackle Lincoln Gap. The main portion, the steepest portion, is 1.5 miles at 18 to 20% with much steeper gradients along the way. When you get there, it's crazy that a beautifully paved road exists there, but it's the steepest paved mile in America. It's also the highest paved road in Vermont and tops out at 2,400 feet above sea level. Extremely difficult climb. Much more difficult than I remembered it being this time around. I don't know why, but the cold, the rain, the wind, the gradients, it was definitely the turning point of the ride as I had anticipated it would be. After Lincoln Gap, still had 3 gaps to go. App Gap, which was really tough. Roxbury Gap, which was really, really tough. And the last one, after 150 miles of riding, Rochester Gap, really, really, really tough. But at the end of the day, we finished around 6 p.m. It was 11 hours of riding. It was one of the most rewarding and definitely the most challenging ride that I've ever done. The Summer Solstice, the longest day of the year, every year is kind of the ride for me that allows me to kind of further my limits, and really it's something that's special and that I really appreciate in that opportunity to take on such an immense challenge. If you liked hearing about our adventure in Vermont, we're very excited to let you know that we are planning the Rubber and Road Summit, the very first one to take place in summer of 2023 in Vermont. And we would love for you to join us on our adventure. We'll be announcing more information about that ride in the coming months, and we hope to see you there. If you have any questions about our adventure on the longest day 2022, please let us know in the comments below. And if you'd love to hear more about our adventures, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world to us, and we will see you on the road.